This is the new embroidery unit W6 EU7. This embroidery unit can be used with the following W6 WERTARBEIT machine models, with the 3300 exclusive, with the 5000, with the 6000 and also with the 8000. With these machines you can work up to a hoop size of 200 by 130 millimeters. With the W6N 8000 exclusive and also with the W6N 5000 exclusive, you can also process the hoop size 250 mm by 150 mm. If you connect the embroidery unit to an 8000 exclusive or 5000 exclusive, the unit offers you 4 hoop options here. If you connect it to a 3300 exclusive, 5000, 6000 or 8000, the W6 EU7 offers you only 3 hoop options up to a maximum size of 200 by 130 mm. We can process up to 50,000 stitches per design with this embroidery unit. This also applies to the smaller machines. These smaller machines are just not suitable for the biggest hoop size. The file format the embroidery unit processes is the format DST. So if you ever want to read in external files via the USB port, it's very important that they are DST files. The embroidery unit is supplied with the embroidery foot, with a USB stick and also with the organizer by Hatch Welcome. This allows you to manage your embroidery designs on your computer if you purchase any. And then you can also change the size even more, because the embroidery software calculates the required stitches as you change the size of the design. That is, if you increase by 10%, you'll also have 10% more stitches. The W6 EU7 embroidery unit has a maximum hoop size of 25 by 15 centimeters, and I also said that we can now process up to 50,000 stitches per design. This is of course an enormous impact on the fabric, and the fabric must always be stabilized with embroidery stabilizer, even with the smaller hoops. If you use this large hoop, you need to use double layers of embroidery stabilizer. I'll later explain how to clamp the fabric in the hoops. First, let me show you something. We embroidered this skull twice here. The skull design is a featured design of the unit. With this version, we used a single layer of adhesive stabilizer by W6. You see, a gap opens between the border and the skull. That's not because it's programmed wrong or you've clamped anything wrong. It's because we only used one layer of embroidery stabilizer. We embroidered this skull again. I'll move this a little closer. Here, we used 2 layers of adhesive embroidery stabilizer. You can see it here. The second layer is stuck on top of the first. So with 2 layers of stabilizer, you see no gap along the border. That's the whole secret to getting decent results. If you use this large hoop, please always use double layers of embroidery stabilizer. Then your designs will turn out great. So, ladies and gentlemen, I promised that I would show you how to clamp 2 layers of embroidery stabilizer for good embroidery results, even with the large hoop. I simply stuck the one end of the adhesive stabilizer onto our insulation mat here. I'm quite chuffed about that idea. See, you now simply tear off the backing and the stabilizer lies flat on the insulation mat. Put the backing aside. Take the second layer. Now let's see. Peel off a bit of the backing. Then stick the second layer exactly onto the first one. Make sure you align it correctly, because it's supposed to be double layers on the entire surface. Now you can peel off the backing and make sure there are no inclusions or creases between the layers. Take a look. We've just made a double layer of adhesive stabilizer. So I don't want the stabilizer to remain on the insulation mat. I'm going to peel the double layer off and clamp it into the embroidery hoop. Unscrew the hoop so you can remove the middle part and now place your stabilizer. Turn it with the sticky side up and place it on the outer hoop. Please make sure you insert it the right way around. There's a triangle here and a line here. Let's take a look. The outer hoop also has a line here, and the triangle of the inner hoop must match the screw end of the outer hoop. Now let me turn it around like this. See, the mounting brackets of the outer hoop are on the left. Now when I place the inner hoop correctly, I can read the hoop size 150 by 250. So position the inner hoop and press it down. Now the frame is equipped with a double layer of adhesive stabilizer. You see, everything's correct. The screw and the hoop size are down here and figures are not upside down. Now all you have to do is tighten it. Now some of you may worry the sticky side has been clamped into the hoop. What if there's glue residue? That's not a problem. Simply remove any residues with lukewarm water. Now I'd like to connect the W6 EU7 embroidery unit with the N8000 exclusive to demonstrate that. It's important that you first lower the feed dog. With our machines there's a switch at the back of the free arm. Then you need to attach this embroidery foot. I've got one here. This embroidery foot is supplied together with the embroidery unit. Please do not use the free motion quilting foot of the machine, but this one, which is included. That's installed. The feed dog has been lowered, and now I have to lift the embroidery unit so that you can see properly. Here's the plug. The plug must be connected with the sewing machine. It's stored down here in a blind socket. This plug is relatively sensitive. If you transport the embroidery unit and the plug is not connected with the sewing machine, please always put it back in here to protect it from damage. Now I take it out, put it aside and push the embroidery unit towards the free arm of the sewing machine until I hear it click into place. Got that? When the embroidery unit is mounted, you must now insert the plug into the machine. There's an arrow on the top of the plug here, and you'll find an arrow here on the machine as well. Align the two arrows. That's done. Now you can pull out the screen arm and tilt it up a little for more comfort. Now both screens are positioned in line with each other, and now you can switch on the machine. Don't try switching it on at an earlier stage. You see up here, this is not the regular screen of the W6 N8000 exclusive, but the machine only shows the thread tension and tells you that it is connected with the embroidery unit. Down here, you see the start screen of the embroidery unit. The very first thing you see is a prompt asking you whether you have lowered the feed dog of the sewing machine. I've already done that. I lowered the feed dog and only then I slid the embroidery unit to the machine. So that means I can press yes here. If you forget to do this and press no, you'll be prompted to turn off the machine, remove the embroidery unit and lower the feed dog. That means you have to start all over again. We don't have to do that, so I press yes. Now the embroidery unit has to calibrate. This means the embroidery unit must do some referencing movements for the hoop control. Please make sure that there's enough space around the embroidery unit. You don't want to hit anything. I press yes again and the embroidery arm starts moving. The next thing we have here are the embroidery designs. We have included a large variety of beautiful designs for you. This is a great unicorn design. I have embroidered that already. You see, I used a double layer of stabilizer underneath because this is a big pattern. Now, how do we get this result? You'll get operating instructions with the unit. Where can you see it best? Up here. This is the finished result. Here you see the unicorn. The unicorn has a width of 14.8 centimeters and a height of 12.6 centimeters. Up here you can see that it has 7,949 stitches. That's not too dense. This number up here is the program number, 149. You can use the number for selecting the design. And 3 colors are used for the unicorn. The embroidery unit will prompt you to please insert color 1, color 2 and color 3. If you insert the colors in the order as shown here, the finished design will look like the one pictured. Actually quite easy. I'll show you more later, but you can see that the result is really fantastic. You can insert the supplied USB stick in this port. You need this if you want to supply the machine with external patterns, and it's very important that these patterns files have the format DST and not more than 50,000 stitches. When you press this button, you can read the data from the USB stick if you have inserted it into the machine, and there are patterns in DST format on it. This is an option for you to read and embroider external patterns. With this button, you access the fonts. The unit comes with 4 different fonts. Press it once. This is regular print font. I've embroidered that here. See, Mother's Day here. Looks really neat. When you browse forward, you'll get a slightly different print font here. I didn't embroider that, but I've done another thing here. Wait a minute. I embroidered Happy Easter here. Very pretty, isn't it? Next thing we have is a cursive font, and what we also have is the old German font. Look, I embroidered Halloween here. And you see, you can't only write from left to right, but also from top to bottom. That's that. Let's return. Down here you see another symbol, the tools. The tools menu is quite helpful. You can mute the beep here, for example. Did you see that? Now, I use the soft end for this pen for tapping the display. Never use the ball pen end. That'll destroy the touchscreen. So please always use the soft end, never the ball pen end. It won't work. Now, when you tap this button, you can mute the beeping. Here you can adjust the brightness, and here you can calibrate the screen. If the pressure point of your pen or finger doesn't match that of the screen, you can recalibrate the screen here. The W6 EU5 already had that. What is new with this unit, you have two language options, German and English. So you can change to English, and here it says 0.4 millimeters. This is to remove short stitches. If you load an external design and it has too many short stitches in certain places where the machine then gets stuck, then the W6 EU7 embroidery unit will automatically remove all short stitches below 0.4 millimeters in this setting. That is very, very helpful. First, let's write W6. I'll close the lid of the machine. Let me explain. I want to write the W in blue, the 6 in red, so I'm accessing the letters. I prefer the second font, so I access that, and first I need an uppercase W. I browse forward a bit, S-T-U-V-W. Now I need the number 6. I browse forward again. Next are the lowercase letters, and after those the umlauts and SZ. We've included those with the embroidery unit. I need number 6. That's that. I press OK. The machine asks if I want to do a color change. Now I want the first character in blue and the second in red, so I press yes. In this case, the machine will stop after it's finished the W, and you can change the thread color for the number 6. I press OK. Now the display shows the selection of hoops. Let me repeat this for you. The 15 by 25 hoop options is in here. I intend to combine several designs, so that comes in very handy with this machine, since it can process the largest hoop as well. As I said earlier, you can also process the other 3 hoop sizes with this machine, and if you do not have an 8000 or 5000 exclusive, you cannot use the largest frame size. In that case, that option will not be displayed. Let's access this. Now you see back, center, front. When you embroider something, string threads occur. When the machine moves from one position to another, it produces a string thread. These threads must be removed afterwards. With this prompt, the machine asks you where you want it to stop, so you can comfortably cut and remove the string threads. Let's just say center, that's okay. Now the W6 lettering is positioned in the middle of the hoop. I don't want that there. I want the W6 to be at the top. Then a design in the middle, and at the bottom I want to write the word Urlaub, that means holiday. So the W6 has to go up. Also, it's relatively small in size. This is the size change. The button has a small and a big A as a symbol. Let's press it. At the moment it's 1 centimeter in size. I'd like it to be 3 centimeters. If you keep the button pressed, the size changes faster to 3 centimeters. Press OK to set the 3 centimeters. Now I still need to shift it. Here's the button for moving. Let's move it to the top. The image moves a little slower at the beginning and then it goes faster. See, our image moves up. Now I want to change another thing. Let's change the spacing. The 2 characters W6 are too close together. Up here you can change the spacing between characters. Currently this is 2 millimeters. I'll go up to 3 millimeters. I press OK. Now we have a spacing of 3 millimeters between the W and the 6. All is well so far. Exit this menu. Now there's some more options here. I've set the characters W6 to be written from left to right, but you also have the option to write vertically from top to bottom. And that is this button. If you press that, the character alignment will change. In addition, you have the possibility to pan the fonts by 1 degree, 5 degrees, 90 degrees, and you can also form arcs. I'll demonstrate that later. So similar to the wording Pferd, that means horse here, my W would be here and my 6 here. I don't want that. Now let's choose another design. How do I get there? You can combine up to 3 designs in one hoop. Press this button to go to your home screen. Then the machine prompts, it needs to move again to get back to the center. Now I'm back at the home screen. So now I'd like to choose a design. We talked about holidays, so I opted for a lighthouse at the coast. This is a single color pattern. This is widely known among professional embroiders. The design is 12.7 centimeters wide and 14.7 centimeters high. It has 3,645 stitches and it's number 145. Well, let's browse for 145. Tap this button. The design starts at number 1. Now you can browse backwards. And there you see number 145. This is very handy, so you don't have to spend hours browsing the designs. I press it and the design is displayed in detail. You see the lighthouse, you see the size. All right so far. Now I need to adjust it. I confirm it by pressing OK. Hoop size is clear. I selected 15 by 25 earlier. Stopping in the center for cutting the string threads is also OK. Now my design is fully in the center. I'd like to shift it up a little. There's some space left between the W6 and the design. So I shift that up because I need some more space below the design for my other lettering. I don't want the patterns to overlap. That's that. I press OK. Now I need the alphabets again for my next text. I go back to the home screen and the machine needs to move to the center. Let's choose the letters for Urlaub. Access the letters. Now for W6 I use the second alphabet option. I'll stick with that to make it match. First I need an uppercase U. Okay. The lowercase letters R, L, A, U and B. That's Urlaub. I'll confirm that. I don't want to do a color change for this, otherwise I'd have to change the color after every letter. I don't want that here. Okay, hoop size 15 by 25 is also fine. I've already set the machine to stopping in the center for cutting off the string threads. That's okay. Now you see the letters overlap with the design, so the machine would embroider the lettering on top of our lighthouse. I don't want that. First of all, I want to enlarge the lettering to 3 centimeters, just as W6 also was 3 centimeters. Let's do that. Got it. Okay. Now I need to shift my lettering down. All the way down. You see, the wording takes up the full length here. So I go back a step and make it a little smaller, so we can play with that a little bit. I want to explain a few more functions of the machine. Okay. Let me now show you how to set a bended text. How do you do that? Access this menu. This button is for bending. Press that. Now it shows the bending upwards option. Press it. The software doesn't accept that. It just lets me bend downwards, so I have to decrease the text size a little. Back. Press return. And I'll set my letters a little smaller. I've been a little generous. Let's go down to 2 centimeters, although the holidays are important. Enter here. Select bending, and now bending upwards is also possible. Exactly. With this button you can increase the spacing between the letters. I don't want that. I want this option. I want an upward arc similar to a U. Now my wording will be bent and I can set by how much. Let's say 5 millimeters. Oh well, we can do 6, 7, 8, 9, let's do 10, so you can see it a little better. Now my Urlaub lettering at the bottom is bent. Done. Now let's take a detailed look in the magnified preview. Up here you see W6, then the lighthouse. The top of the lighthouse doesn't overlap with W6, so it's perfectly fine. We can take another look at that below. Look, down here the lighthouse is shown in much detail, and you can check everything. Then there's my bent Urlaub lettering. Looks great. Let's go back. Now this is my design. See this little frame here? That means that the machine would start embroidering this framed section here. And also if you want to continue to edit something, you can still do that at this point. You can make your changes here. Now I press this button and the machine moves. I switched the edit box, and in this case you would be able to make further settings or changes to the W6 lettering. As the settings are now, the machine would start embroidering W6. Now though, it's time to start putting the frame in place. May I have that, please? Thank you. So position your frame on the working space, raise the foot, place it on the surface, and now the 2 pins must engage in the hoop. You hear the engaging sound, and that's done. Now you can do a kind of preview on your fabric. I have positioned my W6 wording at the top. Now when I press the P button, the machine will move the hoop to indicate where the embroidery will be. So you can check that your embroidery doesn't overlap with any other features you may already have on your fabric. Now it's about time to start stitching. Smooth everything to make sure you don't have any obstacles there. You see, there are no air bubbles between the fabric and the stabilizer. This is very important, otherwise the result will look terrible. Now there's only one thing left to do. Start embroidering. Press OK. OK again. The machine indicates lower the foot. I'll do that. Now the start-stop button becomes green and I can start. In terms of speed, half speed or 3/4 is okay. Depending on the fabric, you can also work at full speed, but please go lower the more delicate and thinner your fabric is. So the machine has embroidered the first color. Next is the 6 in red. So I use my embroidery scissors. It is bent at the front. That makes it easier for you to reach under the machine head to cut the string threads. There, it's important to remove those so the machine doesn't embroider over them. Please do me a favor and always cut the thread at the spool and pull it out downwards. Raise the foot for that. Done. And now I'm going to change the color. I want the next character in red, so I remove the blue spool. I place the red spool. I will not change the bobbin thread. I used regular W6 white thread as the embroidery bobbin thread. That's not a problem. Press the needle function button so the needle goes down. Press again so the needle goes fully up. The needle is in the right position. As I described earlier for threading, thread the machine from the top. As I said, the bobbin thread is the W6 embroidery bobbin thread. I'll leave that in. Now operate the threader. Done. This is my next color threaded. Now it says on the display color 2. I press yes and continue. Lower the foot, the start button becomes green and the machine embroiders the red 6. You can now stop at the beginning to check everything. If the thread had been a little longer here at the front, you could have cut that off too. In this case, everything is okay. See, that's going to be super neat. Now I want to show you something. It may happen that a thread breaks while embroidering. Let's simulate that. I just cut the thread. Clack, clack, clack. It stops and indicates out of thread. A warning signal is emitted. It says error. Yes, I noticed that. Now you've seen that the machine did a few stitches without thread. That means I have to go back a few stitches. I go back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 stitches. In embroidery it's like this. It's better to do double stitches in one place than to leave gaps. I have to rethread. As always before threading, needle stop down, needle stop up. Take your thread. Like this. Now over here, down around the deflector. Up, around, down, up again and down again, behind the hook and thread the needle. Now it looks really good. Now we can move on. Let's go. Foot down and here we go again. You see, the machine continues without leaving a gap in the embroidery. At this point, let me tell you another thing. You can always start embroidering in the middle of a pattern. You cannot only move back and forth individual stitches by the plus and minus buttons, you can also forward by entire colors and thus start with a pattern without having to press the Stitches Plus button for half an hour. The machine indicates complete the current color. Now I can cut the threads. I press yes for color change. Let's briefly confirm this and lower the foot. And now the machine embroiders the lighthouse and the Urlaub wording. Then we'll take a look. Up here you see the stitch count. We started at just under 3,000. We're at 147 now. 147, so the unit is counting down. Here you see color 1 of 1 is processed, and down here the total is 9 minutes. So that's quite nice actually. Down here you can see the current steps and also that the machine is correctly threaded. That's the symbol on the right here. Another little thing to remember, you may have seen that I just did wrong. Please always use the soft end of your pen on the touchscreen, never the ballpoint end, otherwise the display will be damaged. When the machine has completed the embroidery, press the hoop release. Then you take out the hoop. Earlier we clamped the double embroidery stabilizer, but not the fabric. You can just pull this off now. You don't even need to unclamp the stabilizer from the hoop. Just pull off the fabric. No problem at all. Ladies and gentlemen, let me give you a little advice. Subscribe to our W6 WERTARBEIT newsletter. If you subscribe, you'll be constantly kept up to date and, most importantly, can also benefit from our weekly discount promotions. Thank you.